You are the most powerful person in your life. You have an amazing capacity for change. You are the solution to your future. These are 3 great truths that Pritchett shares with us. I know someone who is an example of all 3. Pop the Creative, known by his family as Dad and others his first name Stephen. I've known him for a little over a year now because we shared a class in Instagram. He is called in the Instagram industry Pop the Creative. One of the reasons I stayed friendly with him is because I like his style, his content. He's consistent with his post. Pop is very imaginative, and he truly bucks the system on Instagram because everybody gets frustrated about the algorithm, the length of their post. We talked about this yesterday. He has discovered that the longer post where he has better and deeper connections with people, better information, healthier content, he is getting more interest in what he's saying. People are joining his Instagram. Therefore, what he's learned is that he is being the solution to his future when he pays attention to what he wants to impart to others and what he wants to share. And he's very focused on his style. If you want to really learn how to create on any platform, watch him at Pop the Creative. I've got the information on the podcast details. His posts have simplicity. One of his newest styles is that I noticed he was filming in this studio setting with beautiful lighting, a wonderful backdrop, really modern, but again, it was very simple. He actually walks to his chair and sits down and he begins his content creation that he shares with people. I believe that simplicity is what clinches it for us I'm not an Instagram person. I only post my podcasts and I collaborate with some people who are on Instagram. However, if you do want to be involved on Instagram, I strongly suggest that you watch Pop the Creative because he is not doing at all what these other people are doing. So many of the posts for me are frenetic. They're way too fast-paced. They'll give you a headache. The information that's there, you can't walk away with it and create something in your own life, no matter what social media platform you're on. And here's what I thought was really interesting about our conversation yesterday. I said, how did you come up with this? And he said, well, actually, me and my dad created this studio for podcasters to use. And he says, it dawned on me, why am I not doing my own post with this beautiful studio? See, once again, he has an amazing capacity for change. And he realizes he's the most powerful person in his life. And he's the solution to his future. The other aspect that I like about Pop is he started this thing called Sip Stories. This came about one day when he was at Starbucks. He knew he was going to go back and post on Instagram, but he wasn't quite sure what he wanted to post. He has this cup of Java by Starbucks, sits down in his studio, and he begins to tell sip stories. And the sip stories come from something that he actually experienced that day or maybe a day ahead. He is correlating something that he has felt, seen in his own life to something that will help when he imparts it to other people when they listen to him. Again, the great truths from Pritchett, he practices all 3 of them. He's the most powerful person in his life. He has an amazing capacity for change. He's the solution to his future. Check him out because I think you'll grab onto 1 or 2 or all 3 of these concepts by Pritchett. Just remember all of his details, his Instagram handle, his website, it's all on my podcast details. Kundalini Yoga, what I practice for 30 years every morning, has a very short kriya about managing social media. It's specifically called acupuncture for the brain. It's It is a Kriya that helps us manage and de-stress all the social media for which we have to manage in our lives. Very short. Again, it's in the podcast details. I've been using this, for 2 years now. It really, really, really works. So it's called acupuncture for the brain. Lastly, for many, it is still dry January. I get that. Do you know that it takes 3 days for alcohol to leave your system? Well, keep that in mind if you are still working on dry January. If you are drinking in moderation, just remember it does take 3 days to clean that system out. I've talked about a book written by a woman called Ruby Warrington. She started this movement called Sober Curious, and the subtitle of her book actually talks about blissful sleep, deeper connections. She lets us all know why there are reasons to explore, to become curious about being sober or practicing sobriety more often than perhaps we ever thought we would do in our lives. To wrap this up, if you really want to learn on any social platform, because what Pop the Creative is doing, his content, what he is practicing, his message, the way he's come up with true simplicity will work on any kind of social media platform. For me, his style is not just for Instagram. Take that to heart. All of his information is on my podcast details. Lastly, this Kriya really, really, really works. You don't even have to chant. You just have to do deep breathing. Lastly, Sober Curious when it comes to wine and fine wine spirits. Many of you know I was in the industry for 26 years. I'm a firm believer in sobriety. I'm a firm believer in moderation. Because remember, it takes 3 days for that alcohol to leave your system. I am Valerie Hale. I create this podcast once a week to help people improve their mindset. Remember, thoughts become things, so choose the good ones. I also create an online course called Fear of Public Speaking. I help people limit those queasy feelings. I have one introductory course that I love for anyone to sign up for. You can really manage yourself from going from ordinary to extraordinary with just this first course. It's online, it's private, it's just me and you. You will see yourself become more confident in speaking in any situation, even if it's your elevator pitch, because people just don't practice their elevator pitch enough to sound coherent. Merci, au revoir.